the church on Wednesday for that service, I noticed that our plants left over from our celebration of Crossroads Child Care Center were very, very droopy. And as I took each to the sink for a deep drink of water, I was struck again how every living thing needs water to survive. Plants, animals, humans, we all need water. Our human bodies are 60% water. When we work or when we exercise, we sweat and that water evaporates. We lose a little water. We also lose water as our body rids itself of waste, you know. We lose water when we use the washer. We also lose water just as we're sitting around and breathing, because with each exhalation, we lose a little water. Thirst is our brain's way of urging us to replenish that vital resource by drinking water or some other source of liquid. That Samaritan woman came to the well that day to nourish her body. And while she was there, Jesus gave her the living water to nourish her soul. She would have missed that whole opportunity had Jesus not initiated that conversation with her. He was just sitting on the edge of the well, tired from his long journey, thirsty probably himself. And she came every day, as she did, to get water for her household. She probably just wanted to get the water and return home, because women usually draw water in the morning while it's cool and they socialize with each other while they do that. And here it is, the middle of the day. The fact that she's getting water in the middle of the day implies that she has some kind of issues and was probably trying to avoid the rest of the community. I imagine that her heart sank as she realized that there was a stranger at the well. Jesus, though, just broke through all those barriers of convention when he asked her for a drink of water. Because men did not speak to women in public. Jews did not speak to Samaritans. And most likely, no one spoke kindly to a woman with issues who had to draw her water at noon. And yet, she wasn't a theological dummy. She knew the history of her land, that she was at Jacob's well. She knew the traditions of her culture. She knew the difference between the ways that the Jews worshipped and the ways that the Samaritans practiced their religion. She recognized Jesus' prophetic qualities. She might have been disadvantaged, but she had a firm understanding of her religion. She sensed the divine in him. She sensed the difference between what he was offering, just like she could sense the difference between stale, still water that comes from a cistern and that fresh, living water that comes from a spring. So she changed her plans for that day, and she dropped her jug and returned to the village to invite her whole community to quench their thirst and experience Jesus' living water. She left just as the disciples were returning with food and refreshments from the city. Now John, the author of this morning's scripture, he uses the disciples' ironic misunderstandings to reveal to his listeners the scope of Jesus' work. The disciples urged Jesus to eat, but his food, his satisfaction, came from doing God's will. They were shocked at him speaking to a Samaritan woman. But through that conversation and her conversation with others, the seeds of faith were scattered broadly, leading to a whole crop that would be harvested over the next couple of days. This story is a metaphor for us, for our discipleship. Within each of us, there is already a natural thirst, a need for God. Jesus shows us the way to divine, thirst-quenching living water. Connecting with the Spirit and truth creates a gushing, life-giving, eternal spring inside of us. And just as the Samaritan woman invites the whole community, if she's avoiding the community, going to the well in the noon, but she's brave enough to go back and get her whole community to experience Jesus' living water. So we too should help others quench their thirst. Many of us carry bottles and cups around to sip on through the whole day so that we don't become dehydrated. But sometimes I forget my bottle or cup at home. Sometimes I get so busy, like running from hospital room to hospital room or meeting to meeting, that I forget to drink. Most people can lose up to about 4% of their body's water and not suffer much ill effect, other than a really powerful thirst. But if we lose more than 5%, we are going to become dizzy and fatigued. First aiders of Peach Festival know this. It was so hot that people were getting headaches. They were fainting, and we had to provide, even though we were providing water all day long, we had to get those people, sit them in the shade, and watch them drink until they felt better. At 10%, we suffer serious physical and mental deterioration and death. Death occurs with a loss of between 15 and 25% of our body's water. Dehydration sneaks up on us. First symptoms can simply be a slight lightheadedness or a headache. Spiritual dehydration can sneak up on you too. Life gets busy and you forget to pray, or your circumstances change. Someone you love is sick or hurt, you rack up the car, you lose a job, you get a new diagnosis. Just as the stress causes you to sweat and you lose water, that same stress or life stresses can push the feeling of God's presence away. So take sips or a few deep, refreshing gulps of living water throughout the day and every day throughout the week. I recommend 10 minutes of quiet time spent in prayer or devotions. Now, some of us like to get up early in the morning and do it. That's our foundation for the day. Some people do it at lunchtime because it provides a break in the middle of the day, and they can open an app to read a devotion on their phone or their tablets or their computers. Others like that feel of a book, the pages underneath their fingertips. And some people are more comfortable waiting for the night to release their cares to God before they fall asleep. Jesus invited the disciples many times to say, "Come away with me to a quiet place and get some rest." We are all different, and each of us can find our own unique way to stay spiritually hydrated. Like the artistic among us might find connection to God through writing or poetry or acting or drawing or needlework. The athletic by going for a prayer walk, or for body-centering prayers like yoga. Some people's spiritual lives are shaped through service. Moved by compassion, they feel that spirit at work as they work with others to end hunger, or save cats, or prevent blindness, to restore people's homes, to comfort foster children, or end loneliness, just making a phone call or a quick visit. To work to battle addictions, or to cook a meal that nourishes body and soul. take a moment, turn to the person next to you, and if you're sitting alone, you're going to have to get up and move. Take a moment and discuss with your neighbor how you practice, or the place that you go, or the people that you want to be with, to quench your thirst and help you feel that God is at work in your life. Jesus wasn't the only person in the Bible to speak of our need for God as thirst. Parts of Israel are very dry, and other parts have hidden springs of water. Our office administrator, Melanie, went to Israel last year. She went to a park called Ein Gedi. It's a nature reserve that's bordered by the Judean desert on one side and the very salty Dead Sea on the other. And as you go up the trails, they're still pretty desolate. And every once in a while, you'll turn a corner and there will be a miniature oasis. Not the kind that you think of from the movies, like a big desert with palm trees, just a little breakthrough of green. And even though that she knew that the group was climbing up to see a spring, when she rounded the last corner and she came upon David's Falls, she was shocked and amazed. You can see the picture on your bulletin cover. In the middle of those desolate hills, there is greenery and fresh water. The Dead Sea is so salty, you have extra buoyancy, you cannot drink that water. There are only 2 springs in all of that area west of the Dead Sea, and one of them is David's Falls. When David fled from Saul, this is where he took refuge. They actually note this in 1 Samuel 23, verse 29. It is here that he wrote many of his songs, possibly even including Psalm 63. Let me read that to you. O God, you are my God, and I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I have looked up upon you in the sanctuary, holding your power and glory. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live. I will lift up my hands and call on your name. My soul is satisfied as with a rich feast. Whether we connect to God's Spirit in nature or in that feel of wood as we shape it for a new purpose, or in the pages of our Bible, it is God's Spirit that nourishes us, cleanses us, energizes us to follow, and transforms us as we journey. Make time to be with God this week. Rehydrate. Amen.